Hello, Facebook. How are y'all, friends and family? Um, so, my name is Amy. I have one amazing husband and five wonderful children. And I have decided to start doing some Facebook Live um, times because I am a mama at heart. And friends keep telling me, like, you're such a mom, you're such a mom. And I know I am, and some of my friends have also encouraged me to please write a book on parenting. And I'm like, I don't know anything about parenting. I have five kids, but I don't know what I'm doing. No, I'm just kidding. I do know what I'm doing. Not really. So I said, with five kids, it is really hard to find the time to sit down quietly and write, but maybe I can do some quick Facebook Live videos. So every week, Sunday afternoon, I'm going to be here, Facebook Live. You can find me here, follow along, and listen in on some parenting wisdom. And maybe out of that, a book will come eventually. So, like I said, I have five wonderful kids. One may come through the door at any point. It's okay. We'll just roll with it. But today I am going to start by talking about culture. And it might seem kind of like a funny topic, but the way I spent a lot of years, a couple of years of my life, traveling around the world. And I got to experience a lot of different cultures. I was in Mexico. I was in India. I was in Costa Rica. I've been to Ireland. I've been to Tanzania in East Africa. And while I was there, I really, you go through culture shock. And you don't realize how people live differently from you because all you've ever known is the culture that you grew up in. And so you think that whatever you grow up in is the normal thing. And so when it comes to parenting, I had to step out of the matrix, so to say, and ask myself, what culture do I want in my home? See, culture is so pervasive that unless you leave your culture and go to another culture, you don't realize that there is a system that just pulls you along in life. That system is our culture. Two parents working, public schools, sports, entertainment. Everything is the culture that we're in. I remember as a teenager, my dad saying one time that we didn't understand how our culture and the culture of the United States of America actually was founded on Judeo-Christian principles, and that the fact that we start school in September and we have weekends off of work and school is actually a Judeo-Christian principle. And I thought, well, that's an interesting thing. I've never thought of that before. But as I grew and got older, I began to understand that the Jewish calendar, the Judeo-Christian calendar, starts in September. And that's when we go to school in the fall. Have you ever thought, like, why don't we start school in January and end in December or something? Like, why do we start in September? That's an odd time. Well, because that was the beginning of their year. And so when I was in India, it was a beautiful sunny day, and we were touring a place, and this group of school kids was wandering by, and I was like, wait a minute, isn't it Sunday? And my guide said, yeah, it is Sunday, but here we go to school on Sunday. And I thought, wow, my dad was right. Good job, Dad. So, even just the fact that we go to school and work Monday through Friday is a part of culture, and we don't question that culture. So when we are creating our home culture, we need to realize that what everybody is doing all around us, we do because we haven't had an experience with something different to tell us we should be doing something different. And so when we talk about the culture of our home, we need to be intentional and ask ourselves, what do I want my culture of my home to be like? And it might be that we have to live counterculturally. And I will tell you, my family lives pretty countercultural. When I was 20, 21 years old, I actually was a daycare teacher for a while. And I would get some of these kids at 7 in the morning and keep them till 6 p.m. at night. And that really impacted me. I was a young woman. I did not have kids of my own. I very much enjoyed the nightlife and partying, and I would teach my kids the Macarena, and I was teaching them some things that probably was not actually healthy for me to be teaching kids that age. But I didn't know any better. And so at the same time, I was kind of struck in my heart with, I spend probably the majority of the waking hours with these kids 5 days a week. And so who actually is influencing these kids? Is it me or is it their parents? How much influence do these kids' parents actually have into their life when they pick them up at 6 p.m., rush home, make dinner, get kids into bed, get up and get them right back to daycare in the morning? And so it really gave me pause. And so I decided that when I had kids, I actually wanted to try not to send my kids to daycare, which is a pretty tough thing. And honestly, it's countercultural. Parents have to work. We have to have food to eat and roofs over our head and cars to drive. And, we got to pay for soccer and hockey and all the things that we want to do, right? So how do we live today in this culture with keeping our kids out of daycare? Or do we send our kids to daycare and to school? How does that work? And so we need to be asking ourselves, what do I want the culture of my home to look like? And am I willing to take the risk and the cost of what it is to create the culture that I want? This doesn't just have to be homeschool versus public school, and it doesn't just have to be, do I have 2 jobs or 1 job? This can be as simple as screen time. What are you going to allow your kids to watch? How many hours of Kindle time do they get every day? Do they get a cell phone? And at what age? When are your kids going to be allowed to drive cars? So we, in my home and my family, we've been very intentional about how we've built our life to create the culture of family that we desire. Because it's not hard to look around us and see a lot of brokenness in family. And I truly believe that the health of our nation and the health of the world really comes from a strong foundation of family. And if we can get family right, then we're going to see healthy people growing up to do healthy things, and it's just going to strengthen our nation. And so that's why family and parenting is a passion of mine. It's why I'm on here doing this, because we have done a really good job, apparently, working to create that culture. For us, that means that, we don't drive the newest, best cars. For a long time, we lived in a small house with a lot of kids in the same bedroom. I work 3 days a week. My husband works 3 days a week. Grandma babysits 1 day a week. We don't do sports. We do piano lessons, and we really limit our screen time. My kids get 15 minutes of Kindle time a day. We have 1 cell phone that they share. So we've made choices to create the budget that will allow us the financial freedom to keep it so that my husband and I and my mother-in-law are the ones who are always watching and taking care of our kids. And speaking of kids, they're calling me now, so I'm going to send them out to my husband, okay? Babe, I need help. Anyway, that's Facebook Live and family for you right there. Anyway, so culture, just answering that question for yourself and challenging your own family. And this could be a great family discussion. What do you want the culture of our family to be? What are some of the traditions that we'd like to carry on? What are some of the values and the passions that we have as a family? There's some families that their culture is they love biking together, or they're really into sports, and so they always do the sports thing together. And I think it's important to give our kids and our families something that they can really grasp onto, but they know this is me, this is my family, this is my culture. And living counterculturally, even for our kids, this is so good. You know, my family, we don't celebrate Halloween, and we just came through Halloween, and it's tough because it was easy before. We used to live where there were no neighbors and no kids, and, you know, so they didn't really know that they were missing out on something. But this year, we live in a neighborhood with friends, and they're dressing up, and some of them are decorating their house, and they're like asking the question, why don't we get to do this? You know, and I get to tell them that just because everyone else does it doesn't mean it's right. Culture feels normal. It feels like normal because that's what we grew up in and we don't know a different way. But just because it feels normal doesn't mean that it's right. And so we talk to them about why our family doesn't celebrate Halloween, but why it's okay for other people to choose that if that's what they want to do, they can do that. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to leave you with this week is the culture that you want to create in your own home. And next week, hopefully, we will be talking about values, because your value system is part of what helps to create your family culture. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and hope we see you here again. Feel free to post this, share this, whatever. And anyway, thank you. We'll talk again soon. Have a great evening.